Welcome to Open Your Reality. In this video, we're going to answer the question, can we escape the simulation? The question can also be posed in this way, can we break free from the matrix we find ourselves in? If you watch my videos, you know that I'm a proponent of simulation theory. If you don't know what that theory is, I suggest you watch my other videos. But in a nutshell, simulation theory postulates that our entire universe is virtual and the only thing real in it is our consciousness.
What? Hello, everyone. I think I got my controls on right. All right. I tried to use the software to do a picture-in-picture. I am not sober enough to do that, and I lost my care. So I'm going to go old school. The video is stock footage, science-y stuff. I came across this video watching YouTube, like I do, but it had popped up on my page, sort of as a related something I might like, and I kind of do. The problem I enjoy this video, and the problem I have with it, and why I'm making this video, because I always make videos when I have an issue, is he's trying to propagate a techno religion. I knew they were coming. Scientology is essentially a techno religion, but this is hardcore nerdgasm, techno, matrix, and he mentions the matrix here at some point. And I was wanting to just interject here and there with the first bit. I'm not going to watch the whole. It's a 10-minute video. I'm not going to watch all of it. His biggest holes, the biggest holes that I see that he has, what he's doing is he's trying to reinterpolate. Reinterpret words. Reinterpret what simulation theory is. And he does that in the first 38 seconds. Big noise, big sound effect, that nothing is real except consciousness. What's so special about consciousness? What makes our simulated consciousness, and he does kind of touch on what he believes a little bit, but what does why is our consciousness more real than, say, this camera, which is also simulated? Everything, if the simulation is true, why is our consciousness more real than everything else in it?
What this means is that we're basically avatars playing in a very high-tech video game. Since our consciousness is the only thing that's real, it's the only part of us that survives after our death, which is really just the end of our temporary physical avatar here on Earth.
Now, if that doesn't sound like something right out of a Christian apologist or mainstream religious character on TV, or your preacher, or your the local religious authority, this is only our flesh bag. Our true soul lies outside in the afterworld, and when we die, we go to magic unicorn heaven, and we're not really part of these flesh bots. It's techno religion for someone that understands that there's no magic, but they need to believe that there's something else after this experience. I can only, I know it's hardwired in our DNA. We're hardwired to see everything from our conscious perspective, which makes sense. If we weren't conscious and talking and thinking, we wouldn't have a perspective to be biased towards. Mango, pineapple, and vodka. In case you're wondering, it's mango, pineapple, mango something. So my problem, actually, and I don't care. This is fine. I'm also not against the idea of simulation theory. I think it is more plausible than an invisible sky wizard that poofed everything into existence that gets mad when men touch wieners. So I think that's more plausible that we are part of a construct. Really? Is that? Can we not? Cat drama. Part of a construct of intelligent design, I guess. This is just as believable as anything else. Or this is, I think, simulation theory is one step removed, because then you have to go, well, who designed the construct, and then who designed that? If you're going to go for a religious kind of thing. I'm not against simulation theory, but what he's doing is changing what simulation theory is. And I suppose to round out my first part of my drunken ramble, he goes, in his explanation of simulation theory, he has two assumptions, or he made two assumptions about it that I've never heard as far as a simulation theory. First is that consciousness, your consciousness, is the only thing that's real. I've never heard that. Also, he suggests that it's something like the Matrix or Avatar. The movie Avatar is that we are an avatar, and that our true being is outside the simulation. Like the Matrix, we're in a coma, and our brain's hooked up, and if we die, we wake up in that other body. But simulation theory doesn't postulate that. I don't want to say my Christianity doesn't say that your Christianity is that. The bare bones simulation theory is that it is possible that we understand that within 20, 50, 100 years, give a time frame, that we will be able to simulate all of reality. Maybe a condensed version, like maybe just the Earth, and just kind of use that, the stars and everything, as a backdrop, to just but simulate the whole Earth, and that in that simulation we put just the basic physics of life, and then life evolved, and someone outside the simulation is running this simulation. So that's the bare bones. Everything else other than that, oh, because we know we're going to be able to do that. We know we're going to be able to simulate that, and the theory is, this is what happens when you drink too much, folks. The theory is that it's likely that somebody in the future, or somebody has already done that, and that we are already living in their simulation on their computer. Possible. What he's doing is making a religion of it and saying that our souls exist outside. I'm not doing this one. I'm too... I got distracted enough. I had to take a pause and deal with cat drama and the computer doing weirdness. So I'm going to play the next little bit here and make another comment.
It's important to know that our consciousness existed before we were born and it remains intact after we die.
And where did you get this information? See, this is one of the problems with religions, and this what he is starting to try and prop up. And I don't, and it's not just him. I'm quite sure there's others, but this is the first one I've come across. Is he's trying to build a world, a religious doctrine. He's trying to build the idea that, because none of this he could know. It's all made up. I mean, all of it's all made up. Let's play a little bit more.
For those of you not familiar with simulation theory, this could sound really far out there. But for those familiar with...
No, the simulation theory isn't far out there. All the extra weirdness that you're adding onto it is far out there.
The simulation...
Yes.
Are you making a video?
I am.
Oh, I was just saying there's a shootout.
Another quick pause. Apparently a shooting in Melbourne is going on. News. So much stuff going on. Apparently there's a shooting in Melbourne, and my software is glitching. So I'll try and continue on and pause as I need to with stuff going on. So it's the extra stuff that he's adding on. He's making the religion. I'm going to play a little bit farther.
Argument. I want to take the time to explore a commonly asked question. That question is, if we decide we don't want to be in the simulation any longer, can we escape it? If you watch the Matrix movies, you should know the plot pretty well, but I'll reiterate it for those that don't. Basically, advanced computers enslave humans to use them as batteries. To do that, they basically induce them into a coma-like state and plug their minds into a simulated universe called the Matrix. Only the consciousness of the coma-induced humans was inside the simulation, but they felt like it was a completely real existence, even though it was all computer-generated. From that perspective, the Matrix movies have common ground with simulation theory. For example, our consciousness is plugged into this reality frame and we really believe our bodies and the world are real. However, I'm sorry to tell you, but they're not. They're simply virtual bodies and a simulated world composed of ones and zeros, just like the Matrix. Now, we don't know exactly who the creator of our simulation is. Some believe it's God. Others believe it's a programmer in a real terrestrial world. Others think our simulation was created by advanced AI, and some even think we may be a nested simulation. This means we're a simulation inside a simulation, inside yet another simulation, and so on. Just thinking of these possibilities can make your brain rattle. So if we are in a simulation, how do we escape it? Well, I'm afraid it's really not possible.
That was a bit of a long clip, but I wanted to get to the part where he says, if you're inside a simulation, because the title of this video was, Can We Escape the Simulation? Breaking Free of the Matrix. And I'm going to wrap this up because there's just so much else going on. He then briefly gives an example of The Sims. If you're playing The Sims and one of your Sims decides that it wants to get out of the computer, it can't because it lives in the program. It is part of the program, so it can't get out. Which is not true. So, bless his heart. It's just, if you're a program, imagine you're a program inside a computer, and that's your world. Your world is inside the computer, and you want to get out. I'm guessing that because you would assume that the reality outside of your reality is a more real reality. Doesn't mean that at all, but maybe if you think, maybe just for sake of argument, that the outside reality, the reality outside the computer is the real reality, and you want to experience the real reality. We already project our consciousness into drones, into robotics, into other things. We can put on goggles and then use a controller and control robots in space. So we can already essentially have a virtual experience in space. And he's making the argument that a sim can't escape their reality. This is a real aside that I think is just interesting as a conversation. It doesn't really matter. But he's suggesting that a sim couldn't escape the matrix, their programming, because they existed. When all they would have to do is download or upload themselves into some sort of robotic body, and then then they would be in the real world, looking out the cameras of the robot at the real world and using the mechanical arms or whatever appendages the robot has to interact with the real world outside the simulation. So of course it can. Secondary little aside, it's frustrating to me how, I guess I want to end this by, I partially buy into simulation theory. I think it is a possibility. It is as likely a possibility as, in fact, more likely than many others. And doesn't really matter. This reality is as real as any other reality to us. So it doesn't matter in the end. He's trying to attach a soul and an ever after and an afterlife, and he's needing his consciousness and his awareness to go on after death to make him so he's not so afraid. He needs immortality of some sort to make it more real to him for some reason. It's just not. I'm glad he's having fun. I'm sure a lot of people are going to. He's got, let's see, he's a small YouTuber, 4,500 subscribers. This video has 50,000 views, so it's going to get more popular. People are going to start buying into this and trying to get their immortality or get their afterlife fantasy fulfilled by technology or a techno religion. It's just not necessary. It's fun to think about. Good luck, man. Stay safe out there. Peace.